Hey, Tracy, I'm going to call the meeting to order again, like I did last time, and then I'll call for a chair, and then I'll let them take it over to do the co-chair.
You're talking to me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
just to let you know what I'm going to do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I didn't see our council members yet, but I bet they're going to be joining us shortly.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Jeremy. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Oh, do you hear that?
A car driving by? No. I'm not hearing a strange sound.
Looks like we're just waiting on Vic, huh? Give Vic another couple minutes. I was just talking to him.
There he is coming in.
Good.
Okay, I'll take it over for a minute. I call the April 28th Economic Development Meeting to order. May I have nominations for chair? Councilmember Pennington?
Nominate Jeremy.
Second.
Jeremy, do you accept?
I accept. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Jeremy, you're chair. Do you want to take over the meeting for the co-chair?
Yep. Is there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Vic Pennington for co-chair for this committee.
I second that. Vic, do you accept?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Second item on the agenda is the approval of the January 29th, 2021 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Minutes passed. We have got the 2022 draft up economic development work plan discussion. Staff, are you going to take this over?
This is Denise Lathrop, and I'll provide you with a brief overview. As you see from the work plan included in your packet, we have quite a full work program for this year, and so I'll focus on some of the highlights. In the near term, we have a couple of applications that we are working on. The first being the Zenith Properties Demolition application, which is an environmental impact statement. As you know, Council approved a contract with our consultant ESA for the preparation of the EIS. Recently, we've been working with them on the first phase of the process called scoping. And this is the process allows us to identify the range of impacts and alternatives to study in the EIS. And then it includes public input through various means. We have a web form, letter, scoping meeting that will take place. And we are ready to start the process, and we'll be providing more information to you all shortly. The second, and then just for clarification too, is that once the scoping period ends, a draft EIS will be prepared, and then there will be additional opportunities for public comment. Another application item, it's actually sort of pre-application item, is the Des Moines Creek Business Park West. And we've working with Panattoni, who was selected by the Port of Seattle on some pre-submittal assistance. And the other near-term item is the Housing Action Plan, which you had previously seen the Commerce grant that we received to do this work and approve that. And we are starting to kick that off shortly with our consultant. And then midterm, we have some foundational work that we're planning to set the framework for our 2024 comprehensive plan update. And some of the items, once we flesh those out, we will provide you with an update on that. And then we have a number of code cleanup items that we've identified that will help in streamlining our development review and permitting processes. That's sort of a high level that I have at this point.
Denise, just really quickly, I don't know if it was by accident or not, but I think you skipped over the economic development pieces in the middle there.
Oh, yeah. I apologize. I was going over the big ones, but for the economic development ones, obviously the marina redevelopment has been a very high profile piece of work for all of us. Michael has been leading the effort on that. We have still a number of economic development COVID response that Eric Lane has been working on. There's been some discussion about rooftop amenities and code amendments for the downtown commercial zone. And then Eric and Ashley have been working on a pilot program for food truck at the marina, food trucks at the marina.
And with that, we're gonna be reviewing the code altogether for food trucks. Is that what the plan is? Are we gonna all the way through downtown and everywhere else?
Yeah, I know the pilot program is initially something that they're working on establishing at the marina, but we will be looking at our code and seeing if there's any kind of obstacles for food trucks. I know some of the things that come up elsewhere in the city, and especially on private properties, are items related to parking and sanitation and that. So we will be sort of seeing where we can maybe make some adjustments to the code, and we would bring those forward to the committee for discussion.
Deputy Mayor Buxton.
Thank you. So Denise, do we need to create code amendments before the pilot program, or can we do the pilot program and then see how that goes before we make code amendments? Or is the answer both? I mean,
yeah, right now I don't foresee anything precluding it at the marina, mostly because they have been operating, I think, the way the current food trucks have operated down there as part of the farmer's market and through concessionaires. So I don't anticipate anything related to the marina, but elsewhere in the city, yes, we do need to take a look at our code and especially related to parking and some of those items.
Thank you. I did have one other question, but I wanted to defer to somebody else. It's a different question.
Okay, let's, Michael Mathias had his hand up, so we'll do that and come back to you, Deputy Mayor.
So I missed the beginning of the meeting, but I'm assuming I'm talking to the chair.
Correct, Michael.
Yeah, congratulations. That's great. I just want to say one thing about the food trucks, that there are two really primary functions this kind of review and study should and the pilot program should accomplish. But one is clarity where and how food trucks can locate. And the second piece is clarity where they cannot. And I think that delineation will help our community in terms of, food truck operators understanding exactly what the rules of the road are and what the process is and all of that. Because, it also involves things like the health department and others looking at the appropriateness of the approach. So I just want to mention there's kind of multiple pieces to doing this. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael Mathias. Deputy Mayor Buxton.
Thank you, Chair. So this question is in regard to the Zenith Properties demolition application. So will there be community outreach for the scoping process? You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I just remember one of their initial presentations talked about the process that there would be opportunity for the community to have input during developing scoping.
Yes, there will be. And there will be opportunities for them to submit scoping comments in writing. We are developing information for the website. So there'll be information not only for them to comment on the EIS, but to learn about SEPA and the SEPA process. And and we're getting ready to send out public noticing for the project so that then we will have a lot more information available at that time.
Okay, thank you. And I do have other questions, so I'm just going to keep deferring to other members at the table until you call on me, Chair. Thank you.
Let's see what we got. The Zenith EIS schedule is the only other thing, but are we good with answering a few more questions from Deputy Mayor Buxton?
I'm fine with.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
One question I had was in regard to the other categories. So we have applications, then economic development and other. And I had a question about tax increment financing. It's something that the legislature worked on this year, and I'm not sure of the value of something like that in the city of Des Moines. So I am curious about the possibility of learning a little bit more about it, or even whether it would be helpful or not. And so this might be directed to the city manager or
that's fine. Thank you. I will take that. Yeah, a form of tax increment financing was passed by the legislature this year. And I think the best thing to do, and probably at the committee level, would be to have our legislative advocate, Anthony Hempstead, come to one of the meetings and just talk about what the dynamic of that tax increment financing in the state of Washington looks like. How does one establish the rights to use it, and where that could or perhaps could not be beneficial for the city. So we'd be happy to provide a briefing to the committee. And then I think the process would be Chair Nutting that the committee, if it felt it was helpful, perhaps that's something we'd want to present to the entire council and just get a read on, is that something that we would want to pursue as a resource to enhance our economic development activities.
That sounds great. I'm amenable to that.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Buxton, does that sound good?
Yeah, if as we're moving forward into the year, so maybe I put it in a little bit later as we get some of these things under our belt on autopilot, and then because I'm thinking it will take some staff resource to just prepare the information, but yeah, especially if it's something that could be helpful for us. So
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that it?
I do have a couple more.
Okay.
So last year we did mention that we wanted to move a couple of tier 2 items up to tier 1, and I was just checking in to see if because maybe to add one thing I did notice. So we have 5 significant new items into tier 1 that were not even a consideration last year, and 4 significant items that were completed from last year on tier 1. And so I was pretty impressed by that. I appreciate the work of the staff working through some of these things. So Woodmont Midway expansion, urban growth capacity, and our parking code. So touche. So with that in mind, these other 2 items, we had building heights in the area of the QFC gateway, and also the TOD issues by Highland College Station area. We were going to move those to tier 1, and like I just mentioned, there are 5 new items into tier 1 that weren't even a consideration last year. So I don't know if we want to keep those in tier 2 or not.
I'll let staff speak on that, but I mean, just for a refresher, we've lost almost 4 months of committee meetings, and as the chair, I see it that we kind of have our hands full right now, but I'll leave that in staff's. It might be Deputy Mayor Buxton that we're going to give up something in tier 1 to get something that if we decide as members to move to tier 1, that we'll give up something. So Michael, I'll let you or Denise field that really quick.
Well, I think, I'll defer to Denise on some of this, but generally speaking, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. There's a sort of finite amount of time and effort, and we want to maximize the value for the committee in considering things, learning about things, and seeing what actions might come from those. But I think we probably need to get back to you after we have a chance to look a little more in depth at what might be involved. Denise, you want to comment?
Yeah, I know that the current items, especially with the EIS and the Housing Action Plan, because we have deadlines for the Housing Action Plan as well, and getting the comp plan update off the ground are going to be pretty labor intensive. But I think maybe as we get to a midpoint in the year, we might want to look at whether or not we could squeeze 1 or 2 of these items towards the latter part of the year, depending on how things are progressing.
Yeah, I want to, if it's okay to add a 2 cents worth here, because I know
Yes.
Denise really wants to be accommodating and all, but I want to just say there's some huge items, and we're really gearing up for the comp plan update, as well as the time deadline. So I think it'd be difficult, honestly, to fit additional items in unless we take something off, if there's something that can move down in the priority list.
And I sort of recognize that something might drop down based on what the chair had said.
Yeah, and then several of the tier 2 items would be market driven too. If there's interest up there, next to Highline Station or the Pack Ridge area, or the building heights, if for some reason they were able to sew together something with getting that property sold, but until the 2 entities on QFC come together and get it figured out, they're never going to sell that piece of property, and And, you know, the development up along Highline College, though we want to have some of that happen on Pack Ridge. We revisited that code. Was it 6 years ago up there to kind of bring it a little bit more in line with Kent? But anyways,
Yeah, and I agree that especially right along Pacific Highway South, we did change the zoning to the transit community zone, and we also created the Woodmont commercial zone down by South 272nd node, and both of those allow for transit-oriented development in support of both of those station areas that are within close proximity. So initially we have some of the things in place, and if the market is such that we feel there's going to be a greater demand, you know, we can reevaluate that down the road, but we still have some developable area within those zones.
all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Deputy
and
Mayor, does that help?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I am so impressed with the work actually that's been done. I just thought it was a responsible question, but I would not be in favor of moving those two items to tier 1. And but I just felt like it needed to be mentioned. So thank you so much. Like I said, very impressed with the work this last year and the volume of work coming up. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pennington, did you have any questions or anything you wanted to add, sir?
No, not right now. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, well, I think we got a grasp on that. Was there anything more on the Zenith EIS schedule, or did we kind of cover that in the first part of going over the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, currently the actual schedule, it's about a 4-month time, or we had from the start of our contract to the end of the phase 1 scoping, we had estimated about a 4-month time frame. And so once the scoping period starts, we're planning for an expanded comment period. It's normally 21 days and we're allowing for 30 days. So that'll wrap up, you know, we're planning on noticing soon. So that'll wrap up in June. And then once we get all of the comments, we'll start scoping out the draft EIS phase of the project.
Very good. Thank you. Is there anything else anybody wants to add? All right, well, that takes us to the end of the what we have on our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Seconded. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, staff, very much, and we'll see most of you here in about 45 minutes. So thank you.
Thank you.